Okay, buddy. Yeah, what is that? So we talk about the prong collars a lot in my videos, and there's a lot to prong collars. You want to only use Herm Springers. You got to have the right size. It has to be properly fitted. You have to use it properly. Otherwise, you can really injure a dog. But these are very different than choke chains. I talk about that in my prong collar video. So the first step is you put the rolled leather collar on. Rolled leather collar has to be snug enough so if you pull it forward, he can't slip out of it. But let's get it past this collar. Okay. So if you pull it forward, he can't slip it, but loose enough to get a finger underneath, just like that. Once you know that he can't slip the rolled leather collar. So let's go ahead and get this on him first. The fit is extremely important. Here's how you fit it. I know, buddy. So I'm going to take out a few links. And I like them, hey, off. And I like them for puppies because puppies have no impulse control. They think just because there's a dog or a bird or a squirrel, they can run over and say hi, and it's not safe for them to do that. So these are extra links, you can hang on to those. So this is a Herm Springer. This for dogs that have a neck 15 inches or bigger, I use a 3.0 millimeter. For dogs with smaller necks, I use a 2.25 millimeter. Size is extremely important. Even on massive dogs, I don't use anything bigger than the 3 millimeter. The fit.
The 3 millimeter is the.
That's actually the diameter of this little prong.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are very different than choke chains, and I talk about that in the other video. So I'm going to take a couple more links out. First, we're going to rough fit it for size. Okay, so we hang it so there's no twists in it. I line up these two rings in the middle. I put it around his neck, right here at the ears and the jawline, forward of all his other collars, toward his nose. If it's like this, I'm going to add a link back in. If it's like that, I'm going to take one out. Okay, so I start off with that. Then I start over again. I hang it so there's no twists in it. All the prongs are facing the same direction. I line up these two rings in the middle. I put it around his neck and I pinch these together and put them through the holes on the end. They got to go through the holes on the end. They can't go through up here and slide down. Okay? At this point, I have to rotate it around to get the rings at the top. If it's too tight to rotate around, I'm going to add a link back in. If it slides around on his neck at all, I'm going to take a link out. I do not want this thing sliding around on his neck. It should stay right here at the ears and the jawline. Okay? That's what makes these different than choke chains, and that's why choke chains injure dogs and these don't. And you always do this in the middle, somewhere in the middle. The end link is different than every other link on here. And if you take off this end link, if that thing flips around and comes out, you will never figure out how to get this thing back together. It's like a Chinese ring puzzle, okay? So here's what it looks like. I'm going to rough fit it for size first. Okay, he's distracted by looking at that thing, which is fine. I'm going to check it out. This is actually not a bad fit, so I'm going to pinch them together. I'm going to rotate it around pretty easily. Now, I always... Yeah, the rings are always on the top. Now, I always use a backup strap with the prong collar because every now and then prong collars just pop off. The links get twisted up and they pop off. And the last thing I want, if he's lunging at another dog, is for the collar to come off. He's going to get run over by a car. Okay? The way I put this on is I attach this to the leather collar, and I like to do this without taking the leather collar off. So I put a loop in the end of it. I put the loop underneath the leather collar, and I put the tag in through the loop. So this is attached to the leather collar. And then when I attach the leash to the two rings on the prong collar, I also attach it to this ring. So if for some reason the prong collar comes off, I'm still connected to the leather collar, but this doesn't interfere with the operation of the prong collar, okay? So I'm going to put that on. Okay, buddy.
So the traditional rolled leather collar, you just, yeah, okay.
Initially, I'm going to use both rings on the prong collar. Two rings doesn't tighten up when he pulls. One ring actually grabs him by the neck, like his mom would do if he was a really young puppy. So two rings is a less severe correction. And then I'm going to add the backup strap in. Sniff it. Yeah, I know. So clip these on.
Got it.
I rotate it around. If it's too tight to rotate, I take a link up. I add a link back in. I then take this backup strap, okay? I put a loop in the end of it, and I put the loop underneath the leather collar. Okay? I do this so I don't have to take the leather collar off to put the backup strap on. So this is now attached to the leather collar, and when I attach the leash to both of these rings on the prong collar, I also attach it to this ring. So for some reason the prong collar comes off. I'm still connected to the leather collar, but this doesn't interfere with the operation of the prong collar. You put it on at the start of the walk, you take it off at the end of the walk. You never want to leave a dog on a prong collar unsupervised. He could get it caught on something and strangle himself. Okay? I generally put it on before I leave the house and then take it off when I get home. I don't want to be struggling with it in the car when I get to the dog park trying to put it on. So in the car, as long as he's in a seatbelt or being supervised, you don't have to take the prong collar out.